Hey guys, welcome to BTech. I'm Basil. This is my Honor 5X review. £189 for a phone that has a 5.5-inch Full HD display, an octa-core processor, as well as 2 gig of RAM, a 3000 mAh battery, 13 megapixel rear-facing camera, a metal design, and a fingerprint scanner. Seriously? You've got to be kidding me. Well, no, I'm not kidding me. This is beautiful on paper. But how does it stack up in real life? Well, the design is beautiful. It's a metal body, like I said, brushed metal back, blasted metal sides. Some real highlights include kind of a few finishes that you'd find on more premium Huawei and Honor devices, like the grills at the bottom, one for the speaker, one for the microphone. Flat sides mean it's really nice and grippy. I like it because it's 5.5-inch screen, perfect for my oversized hands, but even Gina found it pretty manageable when she tried it out. In addition, another real highlight is the fact on the left-hand side you've got 2 slots, one for a nano SIM card and a micro SD card, and another for a micro SIM card. So you can have 2 SIM cards simultaneously with an expanding micro SD card. So design gets a massive thumbs up. Only downsides as far as the design goes is it feels a tiny bit hollow and the camera lens protrudes a little bit, but it does feel more expensive than the £189 price suggests, and the fingerprint scanner is beautifully positioned. Moving on to the screen, and the 5.5-inch 1080p IPS panel really does shine. Standalone, it's excellent, but the fact Huawei and Honor loads it up with the ability to customize your white balance just separates it from the sea of other 5.5-inch Full HD displays out there. Automatic brightness control is very effective if you want to override that. Still didn't see it eat into the battery too much. Ultimately, impressive whether you're scrolling through pictures, watching a movie, or indeed playing a game. Inside that screen, it's Emotion UI 3.1 and Android 5.1 underneath it. Now, Emotion UI has, well, it's fallen victim to a lot of criticism from us for being a very heavy skin, and nothing's changed here, but what it does with the Honor 5X is it brings a cool new feature which I found very useful. From the fingerprint scanner, I can assign any finger I want to fire up an application directly from the phone being off. So I've set my middle finger when I load it up on the fingerprint scanner to fire up Chrome, which saves me just a little bit of time because I use Chrome all the time. The fundamental user interface though is very similar to what we've seen before. You've got no applications tray, just like with iOS. Huawei has stripped that away from their Android experience. Just like iOS, you've also got a pull down universal search from any home screen. And in addition, just like iOS, from the lock screen, you've got a pull up quick toggle. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. It's inspired heavily by iOS, but it is Android at the heart. Pull down from the top and you've got notifications and quick shortcuts. And of course, you've got home screens that you can populate with apps and widgets. This being Huawei and Emotion UI and Honor, you've also got a very customizable user interface, whether it's swapping out themes and transitions or indeed just plain old wallpapers. Inside the phone is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 616 processor paired with 2 gig of RAM, and that's probably why I didn't get too much slowdown. Don't get me wrong, this isn't flagship speed, and in Antutu it benchmarked around 38,000 or thereabouts, but you do get a phone that performs incredibly competently given the spec sheet, the price you're paying for it, and the fact you've got heavy Emotion UI strewn all over the top of Android. As far as practically speaking goes, you won't have any issue taking 1080p video, viewing it back, streaming Netflix, playing games. Played Modern Combat 5 on here with no problems whatsoever. Day-to-day use, heavy multitasking might make things eke to a halt every now and then, but a quick open close of an application will fix that right up. Finally, the camera is the only real place I noticed any slowdown whatsoever. It isn't as quick to fire up or as quick to take as some other phones on the market. Speaking of that camera, and the 13 megapixel rear camera performs very well, provided you have an incredibly steady hand. Now, handshake is a problem for all cameras, especially in low light, but I did notice, especially again comparing it to higher end devices, you really had to focus on keeping that hand steady for the 5X. When you do manage to evade blurry shots though, you do end up with beautiful, crisp, detailed shots that rival some of the best devices out there in good lighting. Drop the lights, noise does creep in though. You have a few effects on here like HDR and that crazy beauty mode that Honor and Huawei have become associated with. And indeed, if you want to look like a bonkers alien from the planet Kardashian, go for it. But me personally, I just think the plain Jane 5 megapixel front facing camera does a good job without any of that, as does the rear 13 megapixel snapper. With the 16 gig of onboard memory and expandability by 128 gigabytes for heavy gamers, you might want a little bit more memory on here, so you may want to opt for the Honor 7 with its 32 gig onboard. But for casual users who just want to store photos and movies on the SD card and install a few apps, this will be absolutely perfect. As far as the connections go, you've got all the key connections you'd expect, such as Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and you've got a GPS on here for navigation as well. Interestingly though, the Wi-Fi doesn't support 5 gigahertz, only the slightly less speedy but ever more present 2.4 gigahertz. You also don't have NFC, which wasn't as much of a surprise given the metal body this thing packs. Inside there is a 3000 milliamp battery, and the software also packs a pretty aggressive battery stamina type mode that just watches all your applications like a hawk. Between the two of them, I comfortably got a full day out of this thing without even thinking about it. With more aggressive power management switched on, you could definitely eke 2, which to all intents and purposes, given the 5.5-inch display, is very impressive stuff. Really does go to show the Snapdragon 616 like a very efficient processor, and it performs amply well. Speaking of performing amply well, that pretty much rounds off my review of the Honor 5X, a device that does perform incredibly well given that price point. It's available in the UK from the 4th of February pre-order. It's available on 3, and you can get it offline at Amazon, £189. If you're going to pick one up, let us know why in the comments section below. If you like this review, then click that thumbs up button, and if you like BTech, subscribe. That's how you will stay on top of everything that we do. Thanks for watching.